I am 100% sure that if Virat Kohli was to ever play a game in Pakistan,
It'll be sold out.
that would break all records in terms. It'll break all Pakistani records for everything. And the other thing that I found, which is quite different to what we see here, uh, seeing fans there wear an India jersey wasn't very surprising. It was a common sight. I did see a lot of young kids playing gully cricket wear a Virat Kohli jersey, and it's pretty okay to wear an India jersey. If I was to, reverse that situation and walk around the gullies of India, is it even imaginable that I'll see somebody wear a Babar Azam jersey or a Shine Shah Afreedi jersey? No way.
Welcome to another episode of Table Talk. आज के मेरे guest is one of the most well-known faces of cricket journalism. The cricket World Cup is over, but the stories are still lingering. And today I'm speaking to Nikhil not just because of what it was like to see India win, but I want to speak to him about a cricket journalist who made his way to Lahore and the interesting stories that have come out from there. So Nikhil, firstly, as I told you, I'm hugely envious that you got to make that trip. How special was it?
It was incredible. It was special even before I went because I really wanted to go there for multiple reasons. One, of course, because as a cricket journalist, I'd covered cricket in every test-playing country in the world. And Pakistan was the only place that I hadn't been to. And, just as I was excited when I went to West Indies for the first time to cover games, Liga, Jamaica, grounds that I'd Sabina Park in Jamaica, grounds that I'd grown up watching cricket on, and similar in Australia when it was MCG or the Adelaide Oval. Similarly, I wanted to cover Qatafi Stadium in Lahore. I came very close to covering that in 2004. In fact, my accreditation had come through. I'd collected my goodies bag before the team was to leave. But because of a lot of security issues at that time, they didn't allow multiple reporters from one organization to go. So I then missed out and then somebody else had gone. But then at that time, I didn't make much of it because I thought, it's okay, cricket will keep happening. Not now, I'll go sometime later. 2008 Champions Trophy, I was supposed to go, and then that got cancelled after the terror attacks. And ever since then, there was no cricket in Pakistan. So when this opportunity came by now to go cover, I thought, even though the Indian team wasn't playing, but because the tournament by and large was in Pakistan, I was like, great opportunity, let's go and cover it. I didn't know whether I'll get the visa or not, but surprisingly, the whole process was very smooth. I got it, and then I was very excited. So that was one reason, just as a cricket fan growing up, to cover in some of those iconic grounds. And then, I'd grown up listening to stories from my paternal and maternal sides about Pakistan because, they came from the larger Punjab, which then remained in Pakistan. So my grandparents from both sides would narrate stories of Lahore and Lyalpur, which is now Faisalabad, and Bhera from where my mother comes. So I'd heard these stories and I so wanted to go there. And then I'd heard of Pakistani hospitality, and I knew Pakistani players, journalists, cricket fans I'd met, but had never gone there. So yeah, all in all, multiple reasons that had me very excited. That trip almost didn't happen at the 11th hour, but I'm glad it did. I made memories of a lifetime.
Okay, so first let's talk about the cricket aspect of it there. You covered it in the grounds. What was it like? The kind of news that comes out, has filtered out hasn't been the most positive. But what was it that you saw there?
I saw the same amount of passion there like you see in India. People love cricket there as much as they love cricket here. Everyone talks about it. People who were there at the grounds, fans going in, screaming their country's name, wearing jerseys, pretty much, what you see across the world. But what I did see, which I thought was very different to what you see here, is the love that a lot of Pakistanis had for Indian players. Like, for example, Virat Kohli, and I am 100% sure that if Virat Kohli was to ever play a game in Pakistan,
be sold out.
That would break all records in terms. It'll break all Pakistani records for everything, whether it is for in-house attendance, whether it is for ticket price at in the black market. It'll break all records, and I even include musicians. Pakistan love their musicians, so even if you had a big time concert and compared that to a game featuring Virat Kohli, I think the highest ticket bid will be more than any other thing that may have happened in Pakistan. That's how much they're crazy about Virat Kohli. And the other thing that I've found, which is quite different to what we see here, seeing fans there wearing India jersey wasn't very surprising. It was a common sight. I did see a lot of young kids playing gully cricket wear a Virat Kohli jersey, and it's pretty okay to wear an India jersey. If I was to, reverse that situation and walk around the gullies of India, is it even imaginable that I'll see somebody wear a Babar Azam jersey or a Shaheen Shah Afridi jersey? No way. And forget now. Now I agree. I mean, there is a big gap between the two teams, and one can argue that, okay, fine, there's a reason you're wearing Virat Kohli jersey because he's such a superstar. Maybe Babar isn't, so why should anyone be wearing that jersey? But let me take you back to the 90s as well, or early 2000s, or before that. Imran Khan was huge. Wasim Akram was, great. Inzamam ul Haq, Shaheen Shah Afridi, so many that I can think of. But you can't imagine anyone in India wearing a Pakistan jersey and walking around. But it's pretty common for you to wear an India jersey. It's pretty common for people to come out and say, imagine India-Pakistan game. It's very, and this is not something that I experienced in Pakistan. I got a glimpse of it in Melbourne and, in England, where there are Pakistanis who watch India games. Where I remember that Melbourne game where India beat Pakistan, and there were so many Pakistani fans that came out and said, it's okay if Pakistan lost. And I said, how can that be okay? How are you okay with your country losing? They're like, listen, because Virat is the man of the match. We love him. So I got to see that and I'm happy. And that I don't think can ever happen in India. And that's what I witnessed there. And I also witnessed their passion for cricket. And that's what, see, the love that they showered on us. And this is what I was thinking about after coming back. Is not primarily because of who I am or who my colleague Vikrant was, when we went there. It's primarily because we report on cricket. And it's actually cricket that in turn has been that vehicle, that medium through which we've got all that love. Because they love that sport. And because they love that sport, they may have seen certain reports that we may have done. And so that there is that connect. So that passion is there. And it pains me to see the Pakistan team in the shape that they are. Because as much as I enjoy watching India beat Pakistan, but you'd also want a competitive Pakistan team. And the state that they find themselves in, I mean, you do feel that, something really needs to be done for the health of cricket in general, for the health of cricket in the subcontinent and in general, that India-Pakistan rivalry is much needed. So I did see all of that. I even attended a under 15 match, young kids playing. And that's when you realize that nothing changes. The same young kids, those, like I see an under 15 game here in India, random game I'm talking about, not even like a state level or anything, random game in the evening between two clubs, young 12, 13, 14-year-olds forming a huddle, discussing strategies, telling each other what to do, then, being pumped up when they take a wicket. It's exactly the same. So yeah, I did experience that. Yeah.
At one level you think, okay, Pakistan's going through, Pakistan's not in the best of shape as a country, and perhaps the people, you hold on to cricket. I mean, we all hold on to cricket in the subcontinent in a big way, and yet this happens. On the other side, they're lost. I mean, the kind of incredible humor that you see on social media that can only come from the Pakistanis.
Agreed. We are miles ahead of them when it comes to the financial aspect, our economy, when it comes to the cricket now, the financial might and everything else in technology or our space missions, whatever you look at it, what have you. But three things actually, where I can think of where I think Pakistan's way ahead of India. One is their hospitality. I mean, they'll go out of their way to ensure that their guests are well looked after. That's one thing. Second is their music. I'm a huge fan of Coke Studio, and even though we tried our Coke Studio, but I don't think we were able to beat what Coke Studio Pakistan did. So that's two. And third, and this is what I was coming to, the ability to crack a joke on themselves, especially when it comes to cricket. I mean, they have a sense of humor. I know that in India, Virat may do well or not, but if I was to crack a joke on Virat, I don't think it'll be taken very kindly by Indian fans themselves. Even if and I know that I do end up with getting a lot of flack for my criticism sometime about Indian players, and I do see how sensitive we as Indians are when you're being critical of somebody. But in Pakistan, I mean, the funniest jokes about the Pakistan team were from within Pakistan. In fact, I mean, I just saw, and that includes their former player. Sometimes I feel they go out of line in their criticism, and that's exaggerated, and they're very harsh on the current team. And I think our analysis is far more balanced. But in terms of sense of humor, it's incredible. I just saw, this reel recently about a girl in Pakistan. She goes like, I've been watching a lot of content in India where they're all making fun of our players that can't speak English. And I'm thinking like she's now going to, give a lecture about English is not the only way to judge a player and so on and so forth. And she goes like, but you know what? Why do you have to make fun of our secondary skill when we are so bad at the first skill? Make fun of our cricket. They're even worse than that. And, and I burst out laughing. So that's something, that they have. So yeah, they crack a lot of jokes. In fact, I'll tell you, I put a tweet out before the Champions Trophy started, and Pakistan pulled off this miraculous chase in a warm-up tournament, a Tri-Nation tournament just before the Champions Trophy against South Africa. And I said, this Pakistan's looking like the real deal and things like that. And I got so much of flack from Pakistani fans, but it wasn't abusive in nature. It was rather funny, and they're making fun of me about saying that here's a cricket romantic from the other side of the Radcliffe and things like that, getting carried away by one innings, and so many other comments came. So they have that their ability to laugh at themselves, make fun of themselves. I mean, I remember this is during the Paris Games, and Arshad Nadeem was one of the contenders. And so there were, videos going viral of Neeraj Chopra doing these advanced training, and there was Weber, training with this machine to get his javelin right. And I remember this tweet, I forget by whom, one of the influencers in Pakistan, and he put a tweet out. He's like, so, it's talking about preparations of everything, all other competitors. And he quote tweets it and says, and here we have our guy going to Paris on the basis of doodh and makhan, that that does it, then it's fine, because we have nothing else to really support him. And so he was like making fun of him, and guess what, the doodh and makhan did the trick,
and did the trick,
actually won the gold.
I think it's the white butter on both sides. That's the special trick. Chitta makhan, as we call it.
Sure.
What was your opinion? There's been a lot of opinion on the fact that the Indian team didn't travel. And the Indian team was stationed in Dubai while, everybody else had to do up and down and move. What were your thoughts on that?
Now, I was asked this question there as well. And my point is that I'm not a geopolitics expert, right? So I do not understand the reason why a government doesn't want to send its team, because there are people far more qualified than I am on that subject and know very well what needs to be done. So I can't take that call. What I can take a call on is me as a journalist, should I be traveling or not? And of course, as I said, I was also a tad bit nervous when I was going there, because it was the unknown and I didn't know what to expect. And there were reports about, as I said earlier, at the 11th hour, I may have had to pull out because I got a call from my office while I was heading to the airport to catch a flight to Lahore in Dubai, that there was this news that came about, some intelligence input from Pakistan about, certain agencies targeting foreign nationals in Pakistan to kidnap them to get, some sort of leeway in some matter. And so my office called me that, listen, this has just come in on PTI and Press Trust of India. So what should one be doing at that moment? So, and I was like, so they left it upon us that should we want to travel or not? And I said, yeah, why not? I mean, it's okay. We'll take that chance. So that's the environment. And now this is what I try to tell everyone there. There's a huge difference between me as a journalist traveling there vis-a-vis the team, right? The threat perception for the team and what they are is far different to what I am. And so, I don't think that's comparable, because a lot of people ask me that, listen, you're here, it's a safe country, why can't your team be coming? And I was like, listen, that's because I can roam the streets freely. I mean, there was a time where I was going in a taxi and my colleagues wanted to go to some place, and I was like, no, I want to walk to my hotel. I checked in the Google map, it was 2 kilometers from there. It was at 11:30 at night, and I got off the taxi and I walked 2 kilometers, to my hotel, which is fine. But Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli can't do that, right? So it's completely different. And if there is an organization that really wants to target and send a statement out, then they'd probably look at players to do that, and not so much journalists. So I think that's very different. And I mean, I got a lot of flack for from people that why are you traveling there, and soldiers die on the border, and my only explanation to that was a couple of things. I said, Mr. Jaishankar went there to Pakistan, so when he goes there, he's not necessarily going there to extend a hand of friendship, right? He's going there because it's his job to be in that summit and represent the country, and that's what he's doing. Similarly, if I am a journalist and if there is a tournament happening and I want to report on cricket, which I did, I interviewed their former players, what's wrong with Pakistan cricket, what is happening in their age group cricket, what is happening in the tournament. Those are the things that I need to report on. And unless and my job, as you know, as a journalist, your job is to travel and pick up information. And so I had to do that. So, I mean, me going there does not mean that I am the stance of my country is changing in any way. As I said, there are people much more qualified than me to take those calls. But I gave an example. US and Russia may not have, any diplomatic relations. But if there is a war in Russia, an American journalist is going to travel and cover the war, right? That's his job. So similarly, if the tournament is by and large happening in Pakistan, that was my job to do. So, which is why, I traveled there. And whether the Indian team can travel, if you ask me as a cricket fan, I'll say, yeah. Imagine the scene of a Virat Kohli playing at the Gaddafi Stadium. People will go mad. Even for a Virat Kohli, I said there, imagine, like just as for me as a journalist, I want to tick all boxes and cover in all the top grounds of the world. I'm sure Virat Kohli growing up, and he's performed so well against Pakistan. Each player has a dream like, okay, once I grow up, I want to lift the World Cup. Similarly, you would be like, I want to go to Pakistan and beat Pakistan on Pakistani soil. That would be one of your, dreams growing up as a cricketer. And so he doesn't have that opportunity to go there and score 100 and help his country win on Pakistani soil, which he very well could have. So in terms of cricketing sense, I understand, but I also understand that you can't really keep politics in cricket away. It's all part of relations between the two countries. But again, as my personal opinion, I think if there are issues, and we know that there has been terror that has been sponsored from Pakistani soil, and the Indian government has then decided not to have any bilateral relations with Pakistan, I think that's valid. And I'm only saying it as a novice, as someone who doesn't have deep understanding of the subject. But if I'm talking a macro picture, I agree with that. But I'm saying that's a bilateral series. So if you do a bilateral series, then it means that you're having exchange or trade, and you don't want to do it under the present circumstances. That's fine. But when it comes to an ICC tournament, you should be going there and playing. And by going there, you're not really extending a hand of friendship. You're being business-like. You're saying, okay, fine. This is a tournament. This is an international tournament. We have a team. Our team goes there, plays, does its business. You don't want to have any paraphernalia or any, whatever, Aman Ki Asha type events there. That's fine. That's completely fine. But go play cricket there as a professional team, aim to win the matches and come back home. That's how all professional teams approach things. Even in the worst of times, we've seen, countries do that. And so, yeah, I would have liked that. But again, I only speak as someone from the outside, and whatever call is to be taken is taken by the authorities high up, and I'm sure they're doing their job to the best of their abilities.
I have to second every bit of what you've said here, every bit. All right, Nikhil, then when we talk of Pakistan, and for people like us, Punjabis, who've inherited that somewhat legacy.
That is something I did experience, and which is why I said earlier we can now cut to what we experience in Pakistan. Tell them you're there, and then so Sana is one of the local journalists from Pakistan who knew he was going to be there. He dropped everything for those 4 days that we were there, and he was with us. He even arranged for a camera person. We hadn't even traveled with a camera person, because nowadays we do the mojo with our phone and we shoot ourselves. He arranged for a camera person. One of his friends just became our driver, who said, I'll drive you around everywhere. And that is it. Just, even former cricketers like Ahmed Shehzad, we had to interview. And we were going, and he said, why did you have, and he said, okay, you're going to have lunch. We said, no, we already had lunch. He said, no, how can they be having lunch? They're coming here. They had to have lunch here. But anyway, we had eaten. He said, okay, no problem. He did our interviews, and he said, now dinner you'll have to have, because you didn't have lunch. So we'll take you for dinner. And then next day we were shooting somewhere. He came to see us next day and the day after. So in terms of that, their hospitality, and this is a fact, we reached Pakistan at about post midnight. on a Wednesday, and then I told him that Vikrant, who's my colleague, I said, let's get some money changed. And he's like, okay, this is too late at night. We'll change currency. Maybe tomorrow morning we'll get it at a hotel or maybe go somewhere. And we left after 4 days without having changed the currency because I did not spend a single rupee. Nowhere at any occasion was I allowed to pay for anything that I did there. And you know why? While I'm me going to TV studios or sitting with fellow journalists or former cricketers, and they're not allowing us to pay. Fine, that was going out of the way and great hospitality. But I'll tell you about 2 incidents that happened with me, which will tell you that maybe 3 incidents which will tell you the kind of hospitality that they have. One, when I was going for a TV show, it was a late night show, 11 p.m. show with Inzamam and Satyen Mushtaq. So typically, as you know, the TV channel sends you a car to pick you up with a driver. So they sent it to my hotel, and I sat in that car. He took me to the studio. The show was there from 11 to 12, 1-hour show. We finished at midnight. I'd already had my dinner, but once the show got over, the producer there had organized another dinner, and I had to have my second dinner post midnight, which I had a heavy one at that. And then at about 12:31, I was leaving from there, and I sat in the car and I was coming back. And then again, this driver, he was talking to me, about India, asking me various things, coming from a very humble background. And then we are on the way. He said, okay, but before I leave you, I have to, feed you something. You have to eat. I said, listen, I can't. I already had one dinner. Now they fed me another dinner. I have no space for any dinner. I just can't eat. He said, no, but I can't drop you without. So he'll have to have chai with me. I said, listen, I don't drink tea. So, not even that. He said, no, I can't drop you till I, feed you something. And that's just part of my culture. I can't. So, I said, okay, fine. Let's just stop at a shop. I'll have a soft drink or something. And so he did. And then he bought me that. And I had that soft drink, which I had to. And then he felt satisfied and then made me sit in the car and then dropped me back to the hotel at 1:30. And as I said, for him to even offer me a dinner, which probably would have been more than his day's salary, it was just incredible. That driver doing that. That's one. I had to do another interview another day with this girl who's a popular YouTuber on Instagram and on YouTube. She does a lot of videos. So she had to do an interview. And I said, okay, wait for me at the porch of the hotel. I'll come down. And I went, but there was no great light and she hadn't carried any light. She had a camera person with her. So then she said, there's a coffee shop right across the road. So let's sit there. There'll be better light. And I said, fine. We went to the coffee shop. There was a longish conversation. And in all of that, I forgot I had ordered a coffee. Only me and nobody else did. And then the interview got over, and then I remember I had to pay. I hadn't changed any currency. I wasn't even carrying that one credit card that I had, which I had left back in the hotel. And I was feeling a bit embarrassed what to do. But sure enough, when the check thing came, the camera person said, no way, you're going to be paying. It's on us and things like that. Anyway, I was relieved there. I thought the camera person will pay. But, to my surprise, that waiter of that place refused to bring the bill. It must have been one of those guys who got a picture click, had just paid the bill and gone without telling us. So it's not even a person who we knew, or it's not even a person who sat with us for very long and had a conversation or anything, nothing. Just clicked a picture, paid the bill, went. So yeah, that's what I experienced.
Before you go, Nikhil, one quick question. Did you put on weight during this trip?
I did. They fed me a lot. A lot means a lot. And I did realize that they eat a lot there. In Lahore, I didn't get a chance to go to. But then people tell me that food in Karachi is even better, and so then that's some high standard. So if you're a non-vegetarian fan, that's the place to be. And I'm quite a hardcore non-vegetarian, but even the amount of non-veg that they eat there was, I'm guessing I'm high on the non-veg list when it comes to Indian standards, but very low when it comes to Pakistani standards. Because
yes.
Once when I came back from Pakistan, the next few days in Dubai, all I was looking for was vegetarian food. I had dal chawal in the press box. I even hunted down a dosa shop in Dubai just to eat it because I'd had too much non-vegetarian. And that's something that's never happened with me, where I've said I've had too much non-veg. So they eat a lot of, the quantity, the sizes are big, a lot of it, delicious food. So yeah. And the other thing that I noticed, like they eat pretty late. So
would you do this again, Nikhil?
I would. I definitely do it. In fact, the next time I want to do it is at leisure, because this time there's a lot of work also that I had to combine. So I was chasing stories and interviews and doing my television and digital content as well. So it didn't allow me that much time to just sit back and relax.
Maybe you can all combine a trip together back to our roots and a little bit of discovery. It would be awesome. But for now, I've got to let you go. As I said, Nikhil, right at the beginning, extremely envious of this trip of yours. And not just because of the food, but thank you so much. And look forward to all your reports as always.